I will also say this to the people listening who both know us and don't know us because I was there a long time. People would come back and say like, I think Chris Goodwin hates me. And I'm like, what? I'm like, Chris Goodwin doesn't hate anybody. And they were like, yeah, he didn't speak to me. He wouldn't talk to me. I was like, no, he's just really quiet sometimes, like in real life, but you put a microphone in front of him and he lights up. I was like, it's not that he doesn't hate you. So, so I was having my first Chris Goodwin experience there at the table in the break room. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, hey man, I just became a Christian in September. I don't know a whole lot about, all these bands, but I love what I hear and I'm going to learn and I'll know it all very quickly. Here's my resume, here's my tape. I would love to come and do something for you. And all Chris said, he just kind of looked at me and was like, okay. And that was it, And I was just like, so I won't lie. I walked out of there and I just like got my car and I was like, well, I kind of blew that one, I guess I should have maybe dialed it back a little bit or, And so I got home and opened up my email and there was a message from you and you were like, can you start on Tuesday? And I was just like blown away. I was like, what?
Well, yeah, I pretty much made that decision after I stuck the cassette in the player and gave it a listen. And that's what I want. And what you brought to the table is a passion for show prep and being able to share things about the musicians and the bands and you were just on top of the entire industry and world all the time. And so you were like just this musicologist kind of experience. We were always going for, getting everybody to work on time and doing some bits or character voices and all that kind of stuff. And to listen to you in the afternoon, you learned something about who was being played. There was always like it was like a school, it was school of rock, a school of Christian rock is what it was every afternoon.
Because again, like that's what I came from is like listening to Q102 or the Eagle and like hearing the guys, hey, this isn't their first record. Like this is whatever little tidbits and just kind of introducing that information to the listener in a good way. Another thing through Power FM and TBN, my whole Christian music career or whatever is one of the things I would say to parents or if I spoke at a school or something, is like, hey, you got to think about this. Like in the reporting world for the week, the number one song in alternative rock is some song from the Foo Fighters, right? It's going to be spun like 3,500 times, I was like, in Christian, it would only be like 375 for the new Cutlass song or Disciple song or whatever. And I was like, not only that, but if you go to a Foo Fighters concert, you're not going to meet Dave Grohl, unless you won passes or have some hookup or something like that. But if you go see Cutlass, you could go to the merch table afterwards and talk to the band and like ask them questions or interact with them a little bit, or get them to sign something. I always just thought like, there's really something to that interaction, like when we did that Cutlass show at the Metropolis where
that was kind of that was our fifth birthday party. That was a good time.
Like, right. Like here's this band, they're from Seattle, they tour all over the US all the time. And we were playing a lot of their songs and I think they were only probably on their like second or third record by then.
Oh no, they had just come out. Drue, they had just come out. And for that night, this is what I remember. They played every song on the album. Oh, and then we made them come back and do Your Touch again. they didn't have an encore song ready. Yeah. So we made them go back and do their first big single. So we heard it twice that night.
Right. Which that there's a song right there. Cutlass, Your Touch. If I was going to pick like a bunch of songs to like encapsulate my time and the sound and the era of Power FM. Yeah, that would definitely be like high on the list. Like that. Oh yeah. Is,
well then, okay. When we'll be making our own for the YouTube channel, our own kind of like a 10 of our favorite songs. So you and I are going to share that one then, aren't we? That's going to be one of my 10.
Yeah, that song is awesome. I was actually working on my list when you gave me that homework assignment.
Oh, okay.
And I was already having to have like duels between like, pick this or pick that.
We might have to extend it to 15 to 20 possibly. We'll see how it goes. But okay, I want to make sure before we go any further, because you're talking about something that happened in
later
2004 maybe.
Oh, really? Okay.
Or was it we signed on in August of 1999, and then so it was our fifth. It was August of 2004, I think.
Okay.
So
I started July. It was One Voice weekend at Six Flags. I came in on Tuesday. We did paperwork, and then I came back the next couple of days, and you kind of gave me like, I think I did like one shift or something. And then that Friday, dude, I almost forgot to tell you this. You were interviewing Pivotplex. Like the first day I came, Pivotplex was there. So I met them. And again, not to get out of order here, but Pivotplex had a reality show on JCTV. When I came back on Friday, PAX 217 they were sitting around that same table that I did my first interview with you.
Yeah.
The whole band was there. And, I was just starting to be a DJ, a turntablist. And so meeting DJ Bobito from PAX 217, he and I have been friends ever since.
Oh, cool.
And
wow.
and he's out here. So he plays, like, he just did a big thing because the Dodgers are doing real well. So he does a lot of Dodger games. He's still DJs. So I went to the PAX 217 reunion show at House of Blues here in Anaheim, and I got to say hi to him and stuff. And but yeah, he's literally one of my like main DJ. I don't know, him and DJ Madge and the guy from Max from Super Chick, who I never met, but I messaged when I started touring with Chris with Manifest. I was like, hey man, I'm going to be Manifest's DJ. I hope to see you out, like do something, and he was like, well, I'm actually stepping back from playing live and just doing more production for Super Chick. And so the only bus tour I ever got to do was with Super Chick,
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I have you down then from summer of 2003 until about 2010, I think. How
January
long
2010.
January.
Because we went like New Year's Eve, and we had the little break. So I waited till we came back from the break, and that's when I asked you, Eddie, and Stan to have a meeting. And I remember like I was because I know, again, to the listening audience, I know Mr. Goodwin very well, and I know how he's a very sensitive man, and I did not want to hurt his feelings or upset him or anything. And so I was very worried when I was going to announce to them that I was leaving to go to California to go work at JCTV, a la Juice TV, that you were going to be upset about it. And I want everyone to know when I had the three of them in there in that office, and I told them, his response was, right on. Now we can get the show on more. Like, he was so excited.
Because we were doing a TV show ourselves, and it was our own little like version of WKRP in Cincinnati and The Office. We would borrow elements from both of those, and it was so much fun to get to do those.